My name's Skiff. I cast Brawlhalla. If you need to know exactly who I am and why I have an opinion on this, I am not the best caster for Brawlhalla. I'm still learning a lot about the game, but that's normal. That's called a growing process, right? Now, what I lack in knowledge, I try to make up for in energy, which doesn't always work. But you know what? We're here, okay? So, he's the best John Cena caster, whatever that means. So anyway, TrippedUp recently has put out a video talking about the Brawlhalla casting. Brawlhalla casting has been criticized a lot lately. Some valid points, some not so valid points. It's the same thing that you can see in just about any sort of community, right? People are always going to complain about something because that's just how nature works nowadays, and it's also just the environment of Twitter. Why would I try to make an effort to actually fix something when I can just complain about it and just say things are terrible, right? It happens in Smash Bros, it happens in Brawlhalla, it happens in just about anything. So, we're going to go ahead and watch this video. I watched it yesterday, but this guy said a lot of things that I thought were just absolutely ridiculous, and but he's got some fair points. So, anyway.
The art of casting.
First of all, this guy's talking about the art of casting, right? A lot of people have opinions on casting, but they have never cast a top level of something. So they think they know how things are supposed to work and operate, and they don't. And I think that's very obvious with TrippedUp's point of views on a lot of this stuff here. Again, it's not a fault against them as a person or anything like that. It's just you've never done my job, and I've never done your job of creating long-form video content. So, but who knows? Maybe this is where we start. Alright, jokes aside.
It truly is amazing how much two people talking over a game can affect the viewing experience.
Right.
If done properly, it can elevate the gameplay to new heights, and potentially give birth to legendary clips that will be watched and rewatched for years to come.
So, this is the one thing that I've seen happen a few times now, and this shit absolutely kills me, is people comparing, people bringing up Call of Duty casters, Counter-Strike casters, when they're not like, this is like an entirely different level of casting, right? You don't have like locals for this. Like, you don't have like these small online tournament communities the same way. Now they might, but like it's not the same level that like a Smash Bros, a Street Fighter, a Brawlhalla has, right? It's a completely different environment. There's so much more money that goes into this stuff. It's crazy. And like these casters are like actually great casters. Right, it's also not the same type of stuff happening on the screen.
He's going to fall down again. What is this from Simple? Are you serious? What is that? You can't do that, Simple. That's not allowed. This is not FPL. This is a major.
However, if it...
Like I said, those are like super professional casters. 'Cause I remember, was it one time, I think Melee, because a month ago there was casters. I had no idea about that. But I remember in Melee one time, I think it was one of Hitch's, Optic Hitch, one of his events. They had Call of Duty casters cast a Smash Bros match. And they were great. Don't get me wrong. They're fantastic casters, right? And people were like, these are the casters we need, ball with this, that, and another. It's like, great. Do you have that caster money? No, you don't. And after like 5 tournaments or whatever, you're just going to get tired of these guys too because they probably don't know the game as well. But because they're professionals and they're really good at what they do, they covered up a lot of their weaknesses, right? But that's whatever.
It's done incorrectly, then clips will still emerge, just not for the right reason.
My mama always told me, don't go...
Yeah, okay, we're going to skip that part. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and skip that.
The 9 years that this game has had an esports scene, there have been hundreds upon thousands of matches streamed for official tournaments, and by extension, hundreds of hours worth of commentary.
Yeah.
For a large portion of this time, the casting was outstanding. The casters were lively, energetic, and whenever a player did something clip-worthy, they exuded hype that was nothing short of contagious.
It still happens today. There's like Trial of Freya. There were some faults there, right? We've all talked about it enough times. It's a tiring topic. Trial of Freya was a little eh. There's been a couple tournaments that are a little eh. People have bad days. People have other things going on in their lives, but there's been hype. It's still there, dude. I see it and hear it all the time. I'm literally in the studio. Like, but anyway.
Stopped attacking once Boomy was figuring out his movement, figuring out the spacing on everything.
Down air.
Oh, that's it!
The side stick gravity canceled after a ground pound combo starter sandstorm.
Man, I just love this clip. I can't believe it's already
Yo, what
been
up, the man?
5 years since this happened. Say, what's Brawlhalla casting like nowadays?
I'm going down to final stock. Could the
See,
prophecy be
Child of Freya
fulfilled
coming up
here,
right here.
TK, and we're gonna get a game 5 between Marky
Yeah,
Moon
this
and
sucked.
Sandstorm.
Straight up. They know
This
it
will
was,
be-
right?
this
They
will
know
be
they
prophecy
should have been a
broken
little
right here,
bit
actually,
more
'cause
hype.
they've been
But
going 3-1
to
so
act
far,
like
but
these
looks
casters
like we
aren't
potentially
good at
may
their
get-
job.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
we're going
Right.
into a game 5 for the first time here, at least in a while.
If you've been using a regular pepper
Oh,
grinder, you
no!
have idea what you're missing.
I don't have YouTube Red. All right.
Where's the rest?
The reaction, Skylar.
Where is the rest? Where is
The reaction.
Gordon Ramsay, that special guest.
To give some context to the uninitiated, it's grand finals of the Trial of Freya, the last official 1v1 tournament before the Autumn Royale and the World Championship. On the winner's side is Markimu, a Mordex player who came bursting onto the scene in 2024, rising to the top at a rapid
I haven't
pace.
used. I don't even
On
have
the
a pepper
loser's
grinder.
side is
to be
Sandstorm,
honest.
who is the... Okay, do I really have to introduce Sandstorm at this point? So here we have two of the greatest Mordex players of all time battling it out not only for tournament placement, but also determining who's currently the better Mordex. Essentially, it was a battle between the old and the new generation.
It was a good match.
With everything
really
that's
good
at
match.
stake, this set should have been a commentary goldmine. And yet, even when Markimu hits one of the best clips of the year on Sandstorm, all the casters can manage to get out is a, ooh, okay. Serious?
Like I said, it was a rough casting block. I can say for myself, I wouldn't have cast this block, obviously. That was a long weekend. I don't know what it was. We were all tired. All right. It was a long weekend. It is what it is. It happens. It's past us. Right? It should have been a more hype moment. Yes. Was it a hype moment? Yes. Things happen.
Honestly, I've seen more engaging casting at a retirement home shuffleboard game. Of course, this isn't just some
All right. So you're going to see that a lot. He definitely tries to throw in some jokes here that just like, it's standard YouTube. So, if you're doing a video that you want to succeed, you can just say, you know who Sandstorm is. Oh, well, see, so the idea is that you watch Brawlhalla. He's a Brawlhalla YouTuber. So, Sandstorm, that is true. That is true. But, like, Sandstorm's the GOAT. He's pretty much like the mango of Brawlhalla.
cherry-picked example. I think most would agree with me when I say that Brawlhalla's casting has been on a constant decline for a couple of years now.
It hasn't. It's just people who getting really bored and they have nothing better to do. But
Today, I would like to share 3 reasons as to why I believe this has happened. Before I get into those reasons, however, I'd like to remind you that if you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you do, I
Who's
guarantee
Mango?
you I'll have one more
Who's
like
Vince?
and subscriber. Reason number 1. Caster importation.
so this is a crazy thing, right? I knew caster importation, this whole thing was going to be happening. I do not get mentioned at all in this video. You know how ridiculous that is? I've been here for a few years now. I've had complaints. I don't get mentioned in a good light. I don't get mentioned in a bad light. I'm showing up next event and I'm farting in the mic nonstop. That's all I'm doing. Like, the fact that I'm not even mentioned in this video at all is ridiculous. Not even in the bad way.
When it comes to games with casters, they
forgettable,
will often
apparently.
have a select group of people as their top talent, some of which are synonymous with the game they cast for. If you want examples, look at John Madden
He knew
in NFL.
exactly who I was.
There's a pigeon on the field. How did he get in there? I'll tell you, there's the throw. Johnson really has some feet. And there's the pigeon was right
This
there where
kid
Johnson
rap
was
mic
running.
incident.
Or if you want a gaming example, there's the Anders and Moses
Wait, that's like the, what was it, the Armada? I think Armada, when he was speedrunning.
duo in Counter-Strike.
It's just going to take a single good burst. He reloads quick. He's up back. Oh! He's going to get it! Oh my God! NIP, they win the second pistol round as well.
In the early
So that's another thing, is this guy's comparing, he brought up John Madden, right, who's had so many criticisms as a football caster. Like, that guy is not flawless, right? He has had so many criticisms as a caster, or not a caster, a commentator for professional football, right? So already kind of off to a bad start. Yes, he's regarded as one of the best, but you're also comparing a guy who commentates the NFL to people casting Brawlhalla. You're comparing people who cast high level, I think that was Counter-Strike or Call of Duty or whatever, to Brawlhalla. That is an entirely different league. There are so many different tiers to esports and different esports in general. Like, I'm not going to compare top of the line, like League of Legends, to top of the line anything else, because that's an entirely different world. That's an entirely different world, different payroll.
Years of Brawlhalla esports, we saw something similar. The most recognizable caster at this time, at least in my opinion, was ironically someone whose job wasn't even casting. Foda.
Foda's
it
the
always
GOAT.
seemed that whenever
Straight
he was
up, Foda's the
casting,
GOAT.
which was quite often during that time, his commentary
He hasn't
and
been casting a
reactions
lot,
could bring
but
the
like,
gameplay
I think
to
he just
life.
has a life.
Oh my gosh!
I thought the downlight connection. Oh, is Agnew gonna get it? They're both unarmed. They're gonna go against each other unarmed. Godly goes for the weapon. Weapon spot comes through.
Oh, that's it, ladies and gentlemen! The tournament is over, and Godly is your European HB
Yeah, but he has a life.
champion.
Why does he want to come around on the
I could
weekends?
honestly make this a sub-point.
That's
Let's
what
call
I'm
it
getting at,
reason
man.
1.5. No Foda casting. Seriously, Foda, please come back to the regular casting lineup. You might be our only hope. Anyways, Foda obviously wasn't the only recognizable.
So, like, yeah, there's no problem with preferring photo casting. There's not a single problem with that at all, right? Hey, let me fix this real quick. There we go. Now I don't have to look so far away. There's not a problem with loving photo casting. He's a great caster. He's very passionate about the game, and he's actually very critical about bringing in outside talent, which is something that some people don't know, right? He wants to know that people we're bringing in are actually passionate about the game, and I would say trust and believe that if we weren't, we wouldn't be here. That's all I'm saying. Foda has a lot of say, and so does Toast. But anyway,
Caster during this time. Sparky, Duke, and Flambeau were among the small group of casters
All
that
goated.
BMG would use in the beginning.
love
But
all
as
these
the
guys.
years went on and Brawlhalla grew in size, something peculiar began to happen. Casters for other fighting games began casting for Brawlhalla. For example, TK Breezy, Dara Emgar, and Turn Down for Walt from the Smash Brothers community. Now, don't
See, this is my favorite part about the video. TK Breezy has been casting Brawlhalla since 2017. He's been casting Brawlhalla for so long. What's this? What just happened? Oh, hey, thanks for the follow. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Ixuli? Yeah, dude, like, I get it if you're not a fan of TK's casting. Like, he understands he's not everyone's favorite. I'm not like everyone's favorite. But the fact that like this is such a big issue. Now, I'm not saying this guy didn't do his research at all, but like you went through so much stuff and then you just didn't realize that TK has been here longer than a lot of people. It's not a good look. It makes the rest of the video look terrible. Dara I have an opinion on this one. People aren't gonna like what I say about when it comes to Dara's casting. Dara's a good caster, and Walt is like brand spanking new, and he's already incredible. And people just need to give him some time. Anyway,
get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's something inherently wrong with bringing people from outside the community to cast for the game. In fact, I think that one of those casters I just mentioned, Turn Down for Walt, is actually pretty decent at times. He knows how to be hype and can bring lots of energy. For better...
Balloon Boy off stage. That's all everyone, but that's the end of it. It's gonna be Autumn doubles for the first time ever. Balloon Boy and Hideaway find
and
the
then
gold
for worse.
medal.
Or for worse.
See, we do stuff like this because it's funny for us. Like, if it's funny for you, that's a bonus. But we do it because we're having a good time. And when we do stuff like this and then you complain about it and then you complain that there's not enough energy, like, it's weird. It's weird. It is a Twitter opinion turned into a YouTube video. It's 100% that this is what it is. But, like, if you just don't like Walt screaming, I get it. But it was such a small segment of that day that just to be mad about it and then, like, use this as a point that, like, Walt's commentary has, like, worse moments, it's stupid. I'm gonna be real. Because we're having fun. We're trying to have fun. If you don't like it, fine. Move on about your day. Sitting there and then thinking about it for the next however many weeks to then make a video or complain on Twitter, like, touch grass at that point.
What is wrong with y'all today, bro?
But importing these casters does, however, come with some consequences. For one, it takes away the chance for other, lesser-known casters within the Brawlhalla community to get a chance at casting on the main stage. I would much rather see a new face on the casting desk who's been in the community for years than someone who casts for an entirely different game and isn't really part of the community. On top of that...
So, I agree. I do think more people within the Brawlhalla community should have opportunities to cast the game, right? You can run your own tournaments, right? And then you can allow those people to build up credibility, which is kind of what we all have done. Nobody who's casting Brawlhalla at like the top level, we don't just show up one day and they're like, oh, we want to cast, and we were let on. We were let on because we have credibility to our name. Whether or not you think we're a good caster or not, we have credibility, which is why we're there. The other side of that is, I'm going to be honest, a lot of casters in Brawlhalla, they're solid, right? But no one's like quite there. Now, I don't know if that's just a lack of them, they're just casting for fun, which is completely okay. You can cast it just because it's fun casting, you want to talk about the game, and you can not care about a higher level. But a lot of them, they cast the side events, right? If they want to do more, what are they doing to set themselves apart to try and give themselves those opportunities, right? They're not like building up a reel. They're not asking for advice or anything like that. And so I'm not saying you need to, but like, why is some random caster who's, knows the game really well, but how's their ability to cast? How's their ability to mesh with other people on the mic? Like, there's so much stuff that's just not being taken into consideration, but we'll get into that later.
There are so many outside casters being brought in that there will often be two non-Brawlhalla casters paired together for a tournament.
We're all Brawlhalla casters. I don't know what to tell you. Doing this whole, they're not like us, Kendrick Lamar type stuff. That's stupid. It's stupid. It does nothing to help build a community here. It does nothing to help fix the situation that you have. You're looking at it as a value of they're not part of us. They're not part of our community. When like, yeah, sure, maybe it sucks that maybe your friend who's trying to be a Brawlhalla caster doesn't make it. Excluding those other guys or trying to be like they are Smash casters does nothing to help your community, does nothing to help what you're trying to fix. In fact, it just creates a bigger problem, right? It creates more of a bigger disconnect. But yeah, moving on.
That's exactly what happened during the Marky Moo and Sandstorm set from earlier, where the two...
TK has been a Brawlhalla caster for so long. Walt, I understand. Walt is very new, but like Walt is a good caster. He's actually put in so much time to actually learning this game. And he's a great caster. He knows what he's doing on the mic. Like, yeah, you do have two Smash casters here, but people get so obsessed with labels in some of these situations. It's ridiculous.
Two casters were turned down for Walt and TK Breezy. If we're gonna have outside
So this, again, he's mentioning how TK Breezy is a Smash caster, which goes back to the fact that TK's been casting since 2017, and he just didn't do the research for that.
Casters, at least pair them with a Brawlhalla caster who will have much deeper knowledge and insight to give the viewers. That leads us to the other problem. Brawlhalla is not these casters' game of choice.
Dude, and this is... I'm just going to let him talk about
and commitment lies in a different game, which has entirely different mechanics than Brawlhalla. I'm not trying to fault them for this, as it's only natural that you'll know the most about the game that you're most invested in, but it can lead to some of them having inferior knowledge about the game, or perhaps not really caring much about the game at all. I'm sure that BMG is offering these casters a sizable paycheck considering the amount of money that they give away in prize pools, and I'd be willing to bet that it's much more than what they get paid casting for other games. It's not...
So, I'm not going to disclose my money. I do get paid more to cast Brawlhalla than I do to cast, like, Smash Bros. It's because Brawlhalla has actual, community support. Smash Bros. Doesn't really... community support, but also dev support. Smash Bros. Doesn't really have that. It's all of it's community support. The other side of it, too, is I don't need Brawlhalla to be my most loved game to cast Brawlhalla. Nobody needs that, right? I'm going to be honest, I don't play Brawlhalla very much. I love watching it, and I love casting it. Now, whether that's good enough for you, I don't know. I know I still have a lot of my knowledge I need to work on, but people here, but the other people, I think they all know the game very well. I know Junebug has probably been struggling to pick up the game a little bit. Walt's been putting in a lot of time. A lot of the other people here who cast the game, they know the game, right? Maybe they don't know it as much as somebody who's playing the game all the time. That's normal. But you know what those people can't do? They can't talk on a microphone. They don't know how to do that. Okay?
Not a stretch to say that their motives could be more monetary.
yeah. He's trying to say, I forgot. Yeah. The money's good, right? Everybody likes money. I think if you can get paid to do something, you're going to do it. If you can get paid to do something you love, you're going to do it. It does not matter, right? And to act like you're not and you're above that, ridiculous, first of all. And what else was I going to say?
Rather than a genuine passion for
Oh, yeah. this is just an entirely stupid argument.
Brawlhalla. But who cares, right? As long as they're doing a good job, does it really matter where their intentions lie? Well...
My bad. I keep forgetting I have ads. You guys like ads?
Reason
Good.
number 2. Caster knowledge and interest. Let's say I was approached by an esports organization to do some casting for one of their tournaments. The game I'd be casting for is one I either don't like or have no real knowledge about, say League of Legends for example. However, the pay is quite decent, so I decided to take the job despite my disinterest and lack of knowledge in the...
I can tell you right now, nobody here is casting because we dislike the game. Like, that's just speculation you're throwing out there. And I know that I saw something else where you're like, oh, I didn't display anything as fact. It's me speculating. It's speculation to be pushed like that is the actual thing. And we all know how this works. You speculate something and then somebody sees that and they go, that's the reason. And then that just starts spreading like wildfire. Feigning ignorance at that point doesn't work.
Game itself. Can you even imagine what the commentary for that tournament would sound like? Oh. Shoot, I think I might have just fallen asleep. Is it over yet? But if I hand the headset over to a real caster for League of Legends, it suddenly starts sounding like Eminem entered the building.
Find an opportunity.
And again, you're comparing League of Legends casters to Brawlhalla or Smash Bros. Casters. This guy
The
is
truth
such...
is that it's very difficult.
That guy...
Dare I say...
What happened? Oops.
Almost in...
That guy is such a professional. Like, you have no idea what you're comparing. It's like comparing LeBron James to the best, like, let's just say, middle school basketball player at that point, right? There's an obvious difference. It's not to say the best middle school basketball player is not good at basketball. He's clearly very good. He can't beat LeBron James because LeBron James is 6'8", 250 pounds, and it's the highest scoring basketball player of all time in the NBA, right? That's just... that's just what you're comparing. League of Legends is in such a different field.
Possible to provide effective casting for a game you either dislike or know only on a surface level. If you understand the game but dislike it, then you'll sound disinterested. And if you like the game but have no clue what's actually going on, then you'll just sound like an idiot. Now, I know...
And I'm going to be honest, I've definitely struggled with my knowledge of the game. It's something I'm actively working on, right? There's definitely some times where there's things I should know and I don't know, right? Sometimes it's just because my brain works weird. Sometimes it's because I've just, I don't know, information just doesn't stick sometimes, right? Now, I'm not saying, like, you know, I deserve to cast this game. No, because if Toast woke up one day and he's just like, hey, Skiff, you know, we really appreciate all the work you put in, but we're going to bring someone else in for once. We're going to, you know, cut you out, blah, blah, blah. Would I be a little upset? Yeah, because I love the Brawlhalla people, right? The Blue Mammoth games, those are some of my favorite people in the world, right? But, like, if they don't want to hire me because they want to hire somebody else who, you know, is better at the job than me, I'm not going to be upset about that. That's just the nature of the beast, right? That is the business.
What you're thinking. Okay, Tripped, this is getting a little far-fetched.
Yep.
There is no way that BMG would ever hire someone who doesn't know Brawlhalla. Like, that idea is utterly ridiculous.
We got a fun match coming up, Skeletor versus Pavelski.
Yes.
Going to be a lot of Scythe Greatsword, which I personally love. I love these Vortex weapons.
This is Junebug. Junebug does not know Brawlhalla. You're probably thinking I'm exaggerating for comedic value.
Junebug's definitely got to put in some work, right? And I'm pretty sure it's been a conversation that's been had at some point. I'm not going to comment on it too much after that. Because Junebug is still an incredible guy.
Right. Oh, man. You see one of the cons of running a low defense champ.
Genuine question to the regular viewers of the Brawlhalla tournament streams. Have you ever heard Junebug say the name of a Brawlhalla attack? Because I sure haven't. Instead, he'll just laugh.
All right, so we got Blitz and XJ Cool J.
Dude, Junebug is
That's how you say it. It's
actually,
no, that's like literally the way
I love
you
Junebug.
pronounced it. That's like XJ Cool J. Like that's there's the
or make noises.
gravity cancel D-Light after picking it up from the platform goes all the way off stage to the edge guard and he may have overextended.
God.
Or say something overly generic like classic 2v1, 2v2 combo. They both just got caught in that legendary combo. I am not kidding. That is something he said.
Classic 2v1. And now we have a 2v2 combo. Both players getting caught in that legendary combo from Raiden.
So,
yeah, listen, he's a guy who's trying to learn the game. He actually brings a lot to the mic if he just gets comfortable. If you give him time, he could be a very fantastic Brawlhalla caster. I don't know. I understand the frustrations with this, but like sometimes you just gotta let people grow. I don't know.
Question has to be asked. Why? Why is this person who so clearly doesn't know what they're talking about casting for an official Brawlhalla tournament? Actually, I already know the answer. Over in the Smash community, Junebug is quite the notable figure. He's considered one of the best Project M players of all time, and he does a good amount of casting too. Now, I'm not sure why this isn't abundantly obvious to BMG, but just because someone is good at casting for one game doesn't mean they'll be good at casting for another game. Junebug is a textbook example of this, and although he's by far the—
It's obvious to BMG. That's you saying something that like you think is fact. BMG tried something. Whether or not they feel like it works, that's up to them. That's something they'll deal with. To push that as fact, again, you're looking silly.
The least knowledgeable of the imported casters, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that most of the non-Brawlhalla casters are gonna have less in-depth knowledge than Brawlhalla casters would. But out of the two traits that I mentioned at the header of this section, those being knowledge and interest, I think the latter is the one most people want me to talk about. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. A lot of the imported casters just don't have the interest in the game that they should.
That's you just assuming something. Yeah, maybe we're not as passionate about the game, but to act like the passion's not there just because it's not up to your par is, again, it's a stupid statement. It makes no sense. It's you talking from a point of view that you have, and I'm not saying your point of view is invalid, but you're saying stating something as fact that's not true. We all have that. Again, I don't play the game probably as much as I should, but I love casting the game. I love watching the game, and I love just working with the people in general, right? Passion comes in different forms. That's all I'm saying.
For example, let's take a look at TK Breezy. Now, TK is quite possibly the most well-known caster that BMG has ever brought on. He has a large following, he's iconic in the Smash scene, and he even does casting for more traditional fighters, such as Street Fighter and Tekken. Obviously, TK's attention is divided between multiple games, Smash being the majority, but if he did have a genuine interest in Brawlhalla, then he should be talking about it sometimes, right? Well, let's take a look
at— And this is one of the moments where TK's called him out about just spreading lies, and he goes, no, I didn't, it was speculation. You're basically saying if he had interest, he would talk about Brawlhalla, but you're gonna— this is where he starts pulling up the tweets.
His Twitter and see if there's any mentions
and
of
says
Brawlhalla.
That, oh, there's no Brawlhalla
so there's a
mentions.
mention about the Brawlhalla
so
caster
basically,
situation, which is
he's not
ironically
passionate
why
about the
I'm
game.
making this video right now. But as I scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll some more, the truth is quite apparent. There is just nothing about Brawlhalla here. I mean, there's the very occasional retweet about something Brawlhalla related, but there's nothing from TK himself. It's all just news and Smash. And once again, I am not knocking him for this. Smash is obviously his main game.
You're knocking him for it.
You're gonna try to convince me
you
that
literally
actually
built up a whole thing for like the past like 5 minutes, and you're knocking him for it. Yeah, you say you're not, but that's just not how it comes off.
care about Brawlhalla, then shouldn't you be talking about it a little bit more? Well, let's be fair here. Twitter isn't the only place that he posts on. He's got plenty of other socials. For example, he's got a YouTube channel where he posts stuff about drama, esports, and, you guessed it, Smash. So, does Brawlhalla ever get a video? The answer is basically no. It did get a mention in the I ranked every platform fighter ever video, but come on. Of course it did. He literally included the
it's not a good point at all.
fighting game.
Just
So
because you're not
if
public
this
about your
dodge
opinions
got
on something
included, but
doesn't mean you
Brawlhalla
don't have a
didn't,
passion
then
for something.
there is something
I'm
severely wrong
passionate
here.
about being
Besides
alive
that,
and
the
breathing.
only other time Brawlhalla gets a
You know what I
mention
don't
in one of
talk
his
about?
videos, at least from what
Breathing,
I can tell,
drinking
is in
water.
this video, where he basically says, I went to BCX, and then starts ranting about some semi-unrelated topic for the next
I
6
like
minutes.
Magic the Gathering.
I
hardly talk
am
about
100% a gatekeeper, and I will say that every chance I get, because if I know you don't like me and you think that you're doing a better job than me or whatever, you should have spots that I should have, I will go out my way to make sure I do top 8 the tournaments you're going to. You know what I mean?
So once again, I pose the question. If you're trying to convince me that you have a genuine love for Brawlhalla, then why is it that you so seldom mention it? If you love a game, then you want it to grow. And TK, you have an audience. So talk about the game more.
So the reason why this point also sucks is, why do I need to convince you that I'm passionate about the game? If I tell you I'm passionate about the game, I like the game, I watch the game, I cast the game, right? Why do you need more information than that? Why do I have to prove something to you? You're not paying me at that point. That's Blue Mammoth Games. They're paying me. They know I like casting the game. They know I like talking about the game. They know I like watching the game. They know I'm passionate about being there. So I don't need to prove anything to you, right? And if I just say, hey, I like casting the game, I like being here, that should be enough for you. There's no reason for you to think that I'm being a liar, right? Especially because I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with TK. Just talk to the guy sometime.
Get more eyes on it. You said that the game is good, but is held back by its flash game aesthetics, so convince people why they should play the game despite those drawbacks. But he hasn't done that, and I don't believe he will. And that's because I think that he doesn't like the game as much as he'd like you to believe.
And that's you saying you don't think he likes the game, because that's what you think. And that's just not true. Have you try talking to the guy.
Now, some of you might be asking right about now, what in the world did all of that have to do about his casting? TK is a top tier caster in the Smash scene, so as long as he does a good job, then he's fine. That's the thing though. In my opinion, and no disrespect to TK Breezy, but he is one of the lowest energy casters that Brawlhalla has ever
disrespect.
seen. Almost as if
I
he
just said
doesn't care as much.
That you don't care about
also,
the game.
He's
you
often
have no
the
passion.
common denominator in these clips that are emerging of low energy casting.
He must be tripped up.
A little bit too obvious, I think.
Hey, you know what? He is.
I would ground pounded, dude, but he didn't want to miss.
Yeah,
ground pound was guaranteed
understandably so. And now recovery for recovery, but this one was armed recovery.
I know I just spent a good chunk of time talking solely about TK Breezy, but this low energy thing does apply to other casters. TK is just the biggest example. Now,
low energy casting is not like a thing that's an inherent problem. Would you like people to be more energetic? Yeah, TK does do that sometimes. TK is more of a vibe caster. It's just what he is, right? He tries to have a conversation with people. Like he talks about the game, but again, I feel like those are a couple of cherry picked moments. I'm not saying TK isn't a lower energy caster. He is, but that's not like a fault. That's not a bad thing. But like, he's probably he matches energy to cast exactly. That's what he's good at doing, right? A very big part of casting isn't just being loud and hype all the time. It's matching the energy of your co-caster. Because if I'm screaming the entire time and TK is just vibing, that's such a huge issue, right? There's just way too much of a clash of personalities and energy going on. It's just not going to work out.
All of this isn't to say that there's no good casters anymore. Those remaining of the original group of casters are still good, and there's even been a few new casters that I've enjoyed. For example, Polymonto is a caster who was introduced as—
Oh, I'm glad we got to this part! Alright, here's something from today. Let me see here. Now, I love Polymonto. I think Polymonto is great. If you can read this, the commentator that isn't Duke has no idea what he's talking about. Do you know who that is about? From a cast today? This guy was talking about Polymonto. You see how a difference of opinions, one person will have one opinion, one person will have another? Isn't that weird? It happens with casting all the time. And here's me saying that's Polymonto. He literally knows what he's talking about. And he legit said he barely sees Kinda play Yumiko. Kinda's been pulling out Yumiko a lot lately. Now, there's nothing saying that he doesn't play Yumiko. It's just that he doesn't see Kinda playing Yumiko lately. There's nothing wrong with that. But the point is just that no matter what happens, people are going to have an opinion on a caster. You might like a caster. You might love a caster. Someone else is going to hate them. That's just how it is. Because people care too much about casting. Anyway, back to this.
Part of the lineup for BCX of 2023. He was knowledgeable about the game and brought hype to the matches he was commentating on.
Not again. Use goes for it again. It picks up another dodge read. Not like this use. And another one. Gosh. There's no stopping this man. He said, hold up. Last game was close. Let's change that for our match point.
And hey, what a coincidence. Polymonto has been a recognizable face in the Brawlhalla community for years. Gee, it's almost like having a background in the game you're casting for gives you the ability to provide quality commentary for said game.
But according to Yona, he literally has no idea what he's talking about. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to point out here.
Now, I think most would agree that out of the two necessary qualities that I spoke of earlier, those being vast knowledge and a genuine interest in the game, the latter is the one that many of these casters don't have. If you spend enough time...
Again, that's something you pushed out as a fact. These casters that you bring up, you're saying that they do not have a genuine interest in the game. That's not true. Talk to someone. Talk to somebody. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on stream and I've like literally told people, hey, if you've got hate mail or you don't like my casting, just say something to me. And you know who said something to me? Nobody. I know of somebody who made a complaint to production that I made a mistake on commentary where I was making a point. I don't know if they lost context, but they said this guy basically is being stupid. And I told him, I said, tell that person he can DM me and we can talk about it. And you know what happened? They didn't DM me. It's because people just want to complain about commentary. They don't want an actual solution. They don't. And here's the other thing too, is let's just say I have, okay, so as an example, let's say I have a friend who plays a game incredibly lame, right? I hate lame gameplay. But if I see my friend competing at a top level doing his lame gameplay, you know what's really hype all of a sudden? My friend playing lame. And the other thing too, there's some casters in Smash Bros who are okay, right? But they have a lot of friends because they're good people. And people start to say, hey, they're really, really good at casting. And they're all right. They're not bad, but they're not as good as people make them out to be. When you like somebody, you think that they're better than they really are. If you dislike somebody, you think they're worse than they are. That's basically what I'm getting at.
Time learning the fundamentals and terminology of a game, you can at least sound like you know what you're talking about. But feigning enjoyment of a game for hours on end is nearly...
So I know Polymonty is primarily an EU Brawlhalla caster. We all cast all parts of the game. So when we're brought into BMG, we cast... Most likely you're going to cast, Southeast Asia, right? Somebody's going to do that. Usually it's on the side stream. Or not the side stream, but it's remote casters. But for Europe, South America, and North America, we literally, we all do all of those. We're familiar with players in every region. So while he has probably a lot more knowledge of European casters, but I can't say that he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to other casters.
Impossible to do, no matter how much you've learned. So, if these casters are disinterested and bored of the game they're attempting to cast for, it's only a matter of time before they stray off topic. And that's exactly what's been happening more and more these days. Whether they're trying to or not, the casters have increasingly begun shifting the focus of their commentary from the gameplay to other irrelevant topics.
He had a streak. He had a streak. And ever since this streak has never been the same. I feel like Stingray... That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be honest. That Lance change definitely changed the game for a lot of those Lance players, a lot of the Lance mains. But it's
By the way, one of these casters is Flambeau, who he said is one of the OGs that he loves.
It's a good patch. It's a very good patch.
It's going to be hard right here. You can see Stingray kind of holding the side right here.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying casters need to keep 100% of their dialogue to the game. A good caster knows when to incorporate outside elements to enhance their commentary. But there are a couple of unspoken rules that casters should follow if they do begin to talk about something besides the gameplay.
So this is another part, and I'm not trying to make TrippedUp to be a villain here, but the problem is that a lot of this complaining about commentary, it's a vocal minority. It's a very vocal minority, and you just happen to be the one to make the video, so that's why I'm talking to you. Now, hang on a sec,
If they do begin to talk about something besides the gameplay, 1. Try to make your top...
So, when he talked about, unspoken rules of commentary, tell me what events you've cast. Trip, I hope you somehow make it to my stream somehow. I hope you saw my retweet of your tweet and you hop in. What commentary experience do you have? I'm not trying to invalidate what you're saying, but you're telling me the unspoken rules of commentary. What commentary experience do you have? Let me know.
Topics somewhat tie back into the game. 2. Don't
He's
linger
not home
for
right
too
now?
long
Alright.
on an unrelated topic. And most importantly, 3. Never let your unrelated topic take precedence over the gameplay.
Everybody who's casting Brawlhalla has been casting for years, dude. Sometimes we like to have fun on comms. That's just what it is. We're talking about Brawlhalla all weekend, right? we're going to drift off topic here and there. Me in particular, I know I do it a lot. That's because that's part of my style. I like to have fun. I like to try and keep the audience not just engaged with the gameplay that's going on, but also just trying to, keep them in good spirits, right? Trying to make sure they have a good Saturday, Sunday, Friday, whatever, right? I try to talk about the game as much as I can, but I also like to have fun on the mic. And that's just part of my style. It's the reason why I'm here.
To elaborate on that last point, let me set up a hypothetical scenario. Imagine you're a caster for Brawlhalla, and you and your casting partner find yourselves talking about something off topic from the gameplay, perhaps your favorite TV show. As you're talking, you suddenly notice that one of the players in the game is hitting an insane zero-to-death combo. Do you, A, immediately drop what you were talking about to provide commentary for what's unfolding on screen, or B, continue rambling about your unrelated, unnecessary, and likely unwanted topic that's currently taking away from the gameplay you're supposed to be casting over? Any reasonable person...
So this is an entirely, unneeded section. Obviously, you just listed a question, and then you gave two answers where one is 100% right and one is 100% wrong. It does nothing for the rest of your video. Obviously, anybody who's anybody knows to pick the right one. You can literally ask all the casters that you don't like or whatever. You can show them that question. They're going to tell you what the right answer is. That doesn't mean they're going to do it 100% of the time, which you even said earlier, that casters don't need to be doing this 100% of the time. It happens sometimes. That's part of casting.
Would pick option A, and yet some current Brawlhalla casters choose option B. Even Sandstorm made a tweet calling out the casters for constantly wondering...
My favorite cereal mascot is Dig'em Frog from Honey Smacks. I commented that. I posted that on this tweet.
Off topic. I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud right now, but here comes a truth bomb for these casters. It's not about you.
I thought it was about me this whole time. I've been bamboozled. We know that! We know it's not about us. We like to make jokes sometimes, man. It's what happens when you become friends with the people you work with, right? You start to have more fun on the mic. You could literally be, you could be my friend too. You could be my friend too. And then you can have fun when I'm having fun on the mic. Because you'll be like, haha, that's Skiff. I know he's being funny because I've talked to him before. And I realized that he's a person.
Viewers came to watch Brawlhalla. Your job is to enhance their experience by describing what's happening, giving in-depth analysis regarding the game, and to just try and make it more immersive and entertaining for the viewers to watch.
Okay, again, what is your commentary experience? Just tell me. What events have you run commentary for? And I'm not trying to say that your opinion doesn't matter, because you are saying things that are correct here. But you're saying, the problem here is that you're basically going about it saying everything's black and white, right? It's either this or that. And that's just not true. And that's why you have the casters you have, right? It's because we know how to flow through things. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's not exactly what you want, but other people don't cast well. Some people want to be good casters, and they just can't, but shit happens.
Going almost 2 entire minutes without mentioning anything that's going on.
Exactly. No, you talked over a combo, and you're a villain now, right? And that's how a lot of this works. You did something, for people on Twitter, people who watch Twitch, you did one thing I don't like. You did one thing I don't like on comms. You're a terrible person, and now I'm going to criticize everything you say from now on.
Match is not the way to do this. But the cherry on top for this point also comes from the grand finals of the Trial of Freya, where the casters were talking about how the production team wanted to go home.
And this was a bad joke. It was a joke that just didn't fly. It flopped.
Has been sitting pretty in grands for what feels like a...
And like I mentioned, a lot of us were tired at the end of, we're getting 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at that point.
Longest recorded.
We're tired. It's been a long day. It's a joke that fell flat. That's all it is.
Toast's face right now, bro. He wants to be done so bad. It is so late. Sandstorm is playing so well.
It's just a joke that didn't work.
To ruin the lives of our production team. TK, that is the end. Our dreams have been ruined.
But you know what? We had fun with the joke. It just didn't land with the audience.
So in flourish right now.
Obviously, this is played off for laughs, but when you remember their lack of energy throughout this set, one must wonder how much truth is in that joke. And of course, there's also just the fact that
any job you have, right, you're going to want it to wrap up at some point. It does not matter what the job is. It doesn't mean you don't have a passion for it, But when you get to the end of the day, you're looking at the clock. It does not matter what you're doing, right? There is probably a little bit of truth in that. We're tired. We would like for the stream to end. That's not to say that we hate Brawlhalla. It's not to say that we don't have passion. It's been a long weekend. I'm not going to keep harping on that, but yeah.
We shouldn't be wishing for a game like this to be over. It's the Grand Finals bracket reset with two of the best players in the region going head to head. If this set really did go to a Game 10, it would only take another 10 to 15 minutes at most, which isn't much compared to the length of the entire tournament. So why would you be praying for it to be over? I understand that they said it was late, but if I recall correctly, it was only around 10 PM, which isn't too atypical
It's only around 10 p.m.
of a time for these tournaments to end, and it's not like they have the most laborious job in the world. So I think
I'm gonna go on about that. So yes, casting is not the hardest job in the world, but you take anybody who has never cast before and then sit them down for 2 hours and tell them to talk about the game, they're gonna get exhausted. It's not an easy job, right? It's not a hard job. I'm not moving 50 pounds of weight from one spot to another, right? It's just like it's an entirely different set of skills that you can still get exhausted from.
sufficiently proven that many of the casters don't have the interest in Brawlhalla that they should. But now it's time for the final reason. Reason number 3, professionalism. When I think back to the old clips that I love so much, there's a certain feeling that they give off that I can only describe as amateur. The lower quality microphones, the simplified on-screen graphics, the basic casting desk with just a decorated sheet behind them, and the raw, unfiltered reactions.
Keep it going. It looks like the answer is yes. Tyler Alice, go! Tyler Alice, the reverse 3-stock. Let's go!
Don't get me wrong. When I say amateur, I don't mean it in a bad way. That's just how things were back then, as BMG was.
It's just another one of those, like, I want them to be more hype type deals, which I get it, right? But you can't be hyped about anything, and that still happens. This still happens. We're just probably not doing it the same way that you think, because you can't see our reactions half the time, so.
It was a smaller company that was just starting to build their esports scene. Compare that to today, where the production is...
Also, to make things more professional actually does more for the game. So when you were talking about like how TK isn't help growing the game by posting things, being more professional in a sense will actually help you be able to work with other companies. Like, you notice all these crossovers that Brawlhalla has had recently? You know, there's rules with that, right? Like, there's sometimes things we can't say when we're doing that because it brings a certain amount of trouble, or there's like certain legalities. Being more professional in that sense actually helps the game grow. It brings more content to the game. So, like, it's not your fault. It's just that you're talking about something that you actually have had no hand in, like, doing, right? Like, you have not cast Brawlhalla at a top level. You don't know what's going on in the background, right? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And it's not your fault. Like, I'm not saying you're stupid for it. Kind of. No, I'm not saying you're stupid for it. It's just that, like, you're speaking about something when you think you have the answer, but you don't. And it took me a long time to realize, and I still do it, but it's something that I try not to speak about something when I don't know everything about it, or I don't know a lot about it, because it's just going to make me look like a fool. And to be honest, man, you've completely made yourself look like a fool already a couple times here, especially with the beginning when you mentioned that TK is a newer, like, transfer caster when he's been casting since 2017. That sets a pace for the rest of the video where, like, there's some stuff here that's going to make me nitpick. Remember when I talked about how, like, if someone doesn't like somebody, they nitpick more? And I'm not saying I don't like you, but I'm already seeing some things that I don't like that you've said about my friends or whatever, or just things that are just blatantly wrong, and now I'm looking at the rest of this video and I'm looking at all the things wrong that you've said, right? You got to be careful. You got to try and find a better way to present things.
Is anything but amateur. Higher quality microphones, complex and detailed on-screen graphics, elaborate props for the casting desk with large screens behind them, and more tame and filtered reactions.
What is this? Wait, this looks kind of cool. Anyway.
These changes are what took away the amateur feeling and replaced it with a more professional one. Now, this was obviously inevitable, especially after BMG's buyout from Ubisoft. Their production budget increased drastically, and they'd be dumb not to take advantage of it.
This is one of my favorite points
But in
coming up
doing
here.
so, they've lost a lot of the authentic charm that was so prevalent in the earlier years. However, there's one change I mentioned that has nothing to do with the budget increase: the reactions. It's no secret that being loud and hyped up is viewed as unprofessional by many. When it comes to business, having a serious demeanor is practically expected. This is what makes both sports and esports such oddballs. They're some of the only times where being loud and hyper isn't just normal, but expected.
You're comparing a game-winning series shot by Kawhi Leonard over Joel Embiid in Toronto. Like, it's a bad faith example. I get what you're trying to say, but it does not work for you. This actually works against your entire point. Of course, did you see how quiet that crowd got when the ball was bouncing on the rim and then it finally goes in? This is the NBA you're talking about, dude. That's sports. That's something that's more widely accepted in the world than esports.
The older generations give sports a pass since it's been around for ages, but the same luxury isn't afforded to esports. Many older people see esports.
And the thing is the people who cast that stuff too, they get just as much shit. They get more shit. There's people like there are some smart people who cast those games, right? And then people come out all the time. They're like, this guy sucks on the mic. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and it's like a 15-year veteran from the NBA. There's people who hate Reggie Miller talking on the mic, or they hate Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's one of the greatest shooting guards of all time, but when he's on the mic doing commentary, there are people who hate it. So like, it's not like he's a bad speaker, and he obviously knows the game.
Sports as loud, obnoxious, and a waste of time and money.
Now look at this. This is the Essendon esports.
This is actually
team.
another thing that just you could have just taken out of the
hello,
video.
gents, how
Doesn't
are
really
you?
do anything for you.
Yeah, we're going all right. Going all right. What position do you play in the team?
In our team, I play support.
Support. You're a supporter.
But that's the sacrifice you have to make when your game has an esports scene. Besides, esports is targeted towards younger demographics,
Yeah.
which shouldn't come as a
Very
surprise to
outdated.
anyone. In the beginning of Brawlhalla esports, this was well understood by BMG, but as time has progressed, it almost seems like they're trying to be viewed as more
It's so
serious
good.
and professional by
Let's go.
sacrificing the usual hype that should come with any esports casting. If I had to think back to the last time I remember a caster truly rising to the occasion and being exceptionally hype, it was during BCX of 2022 when Stingray pulled off one of the greatest clutches in Brawlhalla history, and Flambo's reactions were nothing short of fantastic.
Great tournament.
And at this point,
I was so happy I got
KO,
to be there casting to watch it.
Doesn't want to go for a super laggy move. The neutral light is all he needs to get the KO. Doesn't get it there. That was an opportunity. Stingray knows what his win condition is, and he's going for it. He wants it so bad. He's betting it all. He's betting it all. Can he do it? Can he stop Kaina, or will Kaina close his dreams out here? And Stingray is so goddamn clutch.
Now, like I
actually, hang on.
said, this was BCX of 2022, meaning it's been almost 2 years since I can remember a caster popping off this hard. I believe that this reaction may have inadvertently caused BMG to force their casters to tone it down.
False. 100% false. This had no standing on any way that we act or how we cast the game. It has no effect whatsoever. Not even the slightest. Right? It's one of those things like, you got one. Like, it has nothing to do with that. He mentions curse words. But if you really want to talk about it, what's that clip hype? Hype as hell. Absolutely insane. I love Flambeau. He's an amazing caster. But if you wanted to be really, really critical about commentary, he didn't let his partner talk, and his partner kept trying to chime in, right? Which you could say either person was at fault for just, making it about them or something like that. It's easy to skew the perception of it and change exactly like how you want to like put the story on something when it's just depending on how you feel about it, right? Like I could have easily looked at that clip and be like, Flambeau's making it all about himself. It's not about him, like you said earlier in the video, right? But that's not the case. It's an incredibly hype moment. Flambeau's an amazing caster, and he delivered.
Why? Because Flambeau cursed.
It's literally not true. There's no facts to this at all.
I know, terrible, right? But cursing is seen as unprofessional, so if BMG is trying to lend themselves an air of professionalism, then a curse word, even a light one, will ultimately be seen as a negative. Now, obviously, I have no idea.
So that's going to be the case in just about any casting, like except for a local that has no backing for sponsorship or anything like that. Like even at the top levels, like these other casting things that you're talking about, like the Call of Duties, the League of Legends that are like incredible. Those guys, if they like actually curse, there's probably something in their contract that like actually punishes them, right? So, and these are the things that you're talking about that are more hype, right? Those people are more professional, which kind of, it goes to contradict exactly what you want here, right? Those guys, yes, they are hype and, you know, they bring that energy, but they are so much more professional. Like they are held to such a higher standard. It's a huge contradiction to everything you were just talking about. Right? So, like, again, it's just another part of this video where everything falls apart because you want one thing, but you also want the other, and you actually contradict yourself the entire time. So, that's just my point.
If this is true or not, but I think it's a theory worth considering. But I think that
it's not a theory worth considering. It's not true.
Most of us would love to see more reactions like that. When I was watching that clip live on Twitch, I literally jumped out of my chair due to sheer hype. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that the moment would have been completely ruined if the casters acted as unenthusiastic as some of them do now. So thank you, Flambeau, as well as the other casters who still put their energy into their commentary. That's exactly what this game needs. One last point I want to bring up here is how BMG, likely in an attempt to look inclusive, continues to hire a caster, Dara Engar, who has a heavy speech impediment.
Yeah, already a fantastic opening for Boomy, just did not seem to be too phase 2 throughout
I've got
that
opinions
entire
on this
stock.
one.
So I want to keep focusing on Bunny Hoop because I feel like this is the kind of a player that, you know, we saw like Pavelski and Fridasoul yesterday where it's like, oh, when they get like those crazy edge guards, they are able to make stocks disappear. How much damage is Sandstorm going to be able to deal? You already know the kind of damage output that Moridex has. Looking for that Enlight, the recovery somehow not KOing off the top.
Now, before I go any further, I want to make it abundantly clear that I am not making fun of Dara's speech impediment in any way. It's unfortunate that they have to deal with such an issue. However, if you do have a condition which inhibits your ability to speak properly, then I do not believe you should be doing a job where you literally do nothing but speak for hours, unless you provide significant value that outweighs the drawbacks of your condition. For instance, if Sandstorm wanted to cast but had a speech impediment, then I'd still let him commentate, as the value he brings as the GOAT of Brawlhalla is much more significant than his speech impediment. Unless, of course, his speech impediment is so heavy that you literally cannot understand a word that comes out of his mouth, in which case, sorry buddy, but you're not casting. Dara, on the other hand, does not bring that type of value.
Dara literally knows the game so well. Dara has so much knowledge about the game. Dara plays this shit. Like, actually plays the game, right? Has actually put in a lot of work, but people just... They lose their fucking minds when Dara's casting. That's just what it comes down to. And it's ridiculous.
Caster who came from the Smash Brothers community and doesn't have anything that would make them more valuable than any other caster without a speaking condition. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody can do every type of job out there. My scrawny 5'9", 125-pound self would never be able to become a linebacker in the NFL, no matter how much I wanted to be one. Is it fair? No, but unfortunately, the world is not a fair place. There are just some jobs that I physically cannot do. The same thing applies to Dara. It's sad that their passion is inhibited by their speech impediment, but many people have expressed how they don't like when Dara is casting, which shows that it's damaging the viewing experience.
I watched the stream grow in viewer count today when Dara hopped on. It went from like 8,049 and like 300 more people started watching. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? That chat gets so crazy when Dara's on. It's not even just when Dara's on. So here's the part that you're not going to like. Now, I'm not saying that you are transphobic, but a lot of this hate that Dara gets is rooted in transphobia. Now, let me explain. People get weird about it all the time, right? As soon as Dara hops on the screen, they start saying all sorts of pronouns that aren't correct, right? They start saying he, she, them, they, whatever. I think it's it and she now, right? People get weird about it all the time. the people watching, they stop caring about Brawlhalla, right? So these casters that you're talking about don't care about Brawlhalla. You should be looking at the viewers that take away from it when Dara just appears on the screen and the chat loses their mind. And the reason why it's rooted in transphobia is because it's because Dara is a different person, right? Dara is trans. So, and this happens all the time. And it's not even just casting, right? I pulled up right here. This is Bunny versus Jeff, right? Oh no, it wasn't this one I was looking for. It's Bunny versus Sandstorm. Let me see if I can find that. Or no, Bunny versus Impala. All right, so check this, right? If I go down to the comments here, now maybe I have to do a little bit of something, but people are going to be a little like, I think Bunny is one of the hypest and more aggressive character or players in the game, right? And when you scroll down here, people are a lot more critical. Bunny, the new, you know, whatever after Meg D. Bunny, who let him get this far? Wrong pronouns. Typical trans gameplay. See, it's the problem of it is a lot of it is Bunny is a girl. Yes, and this is just one video, and this is just the video. Never mind the chat that pops up. Again, a lot of it's rooted in transphobia. People don't like trans people, right? They just want to live, and they have all these crazy ideas and opinions on what it is to be trans or gay or anything like that. So instead of just being a normal person and like, if you don't like Dara's commentary, that's fine. I get it. You can not like Dara's commentary and not be transphobic. That's totally fine. It makes sense, right? But like, a lot of it is rooted in that. And if you get mad at me for saying that, you're probably just transphobic. If you're not transphobic, you shouldn't get mad at that opinion, because then it's not about you, right? So I just kind of, it's a mess, but it's a conversation that people just do not have. They don't look inward because they don't want to have a negative label on them. But then you tell them, hey, this is how things get, like when this person's on. And I don't see you making a video or making a whole point about, you know, all these people who give Dara all this crap. Dara understands the game. Dara knows the game. Dara's speech impediment is such a non-factor. I always say all the time, I can't understand what they're saying. Open your goddamn ears. Open your ears. We, literally, all the people who need to hear Dara the most important people who need to hear Dara are the co-casters. We can hear Dara just fine. Everyone's saying like, oh, I can't understand what Dara's saying. It's either because you're just being a dickhead, right? Or transphobic, because that's another reason to hate. Or you can't hear. You're deaf. Or you have your volume muted, right? And it's nothing against deaf people, by the way. But like, that's a huge issue that people just do not want to talk about. Yes, Dara has a speech impediment. It is hardly an issue. Could Dara, get some work to try and work on it? Yes, probably, right? Anybody could. I can hear Dara just fine. When I have conversations with Dara, when I'm casting with Dara, I can hear her just fine. Anybody else who complains, and believe me, I am hard of hearing sometimes, right? Anybody else who complains is just being a dumbass, being a loser, and they just need to get over themselves.
Seriously, go look at Twitch chat while they're casting, or at the YouTube comment sections of a set that they cast.
Yeah, go look at Twitch chat and YouTube comment section, and you're just going to see people talking about the speech impediment. They're not going to be talking about anything else, right?
It's filled with people saying that they don't like their commentary, and even if you yourself don't mind, it's undeniable that it's affecting viewers negatively.
It's a minority of viewers.
The point of casters is to bring up the entertainment value for viewers, and it's clear that their speech impediment is detracting from the entertainment, which is...
If I listen to something and if you go watch a movie, right, and someone in the movie, like a character, is supposed to have a speech impediment, that doesn't take away from the movie. That's just you being an idiot. You can still be invested in the movie, and there could be someone in the movie or whatever who has a lisp, right?
It's going against the whole reason that casters are there in the first place. I think that BMG knows this, but they don't want the backlash that would likely come...
That's not true.
...from kicking Dara off the casting team, so they just ignore it outright.
Nope, it's not true.
This is a small point compared to the others since it's just one caster, but I still thought I should mention it. So those are my 3 main reasons as to why Brawlhalla cast...
So yeah, like I said, the whole thing is whatever. And actually, if you actually look in the comments here, someone actually talks about the girl literally got the best greatsword player banned from playing, holding back an entire weapons competitive representation for like a year. That's Hardy MJ, right? Now, the situation was completely overblown, but nobody had to be getting mad the way they did. Hardy didn't have to say the shit that he said or whatever. I'm not sure they said whatever. I'm not sure what the pronouns are for there, but Hardy didn't have to say the shit they said, right? And Dara can tweet whatever they want, right? You guys can tweet at each other however you want, right? Did Hardy deserve a ban? Yes, a slight ban, small ban for a little bit, and that's already done. That's already over with. That's a conversation that we don't even need to have because it's done. Everything's been solved in that part. But this person is more worried about the meta for a weapon being developed than the personal comfort or safety of someone who is in the scene. Now, I'm not saying Hardy threatened the life of anybody. I'm just saying from what I know about that situation entirely, right? That person was more worried about the meta of a weapon than the entire other issue that, led to that. And because that turned into a whole thing where people were leaving, I think, death threats to trans members of the community and the staff and stuff like that. And that's ridiculous, right? And like I pointed out, when Bunny's playing, people have the same issue when Bunny's playing than when Dara's on. And you can see that in the Twitch chat as well. It's people need to get over Dara casting. They need to get over it. It is not a big deal. You're just being a baby. That's literally what it comes down to.
Casting has gone so downhill. They've imported too many casters from other communities, they have lots of casters who don't even have a real interest in the game, and they're trying too hard to be professional in an industry that's supposed to be more on the unprofessional side. With all of that laid out, I think the solutions are quite apparent. BMG needs to stop bringing in so many outside casters and start promoting those that are—
Dude, I'm just going to say, what industry are you talking about? FGC? Show me a top-level Street Fighter stream. Oh, what's this? Dirthimian. Hey, thanks for following. Show me a top-level Street Fighter stream where they are actually being, unprofessional. Screaming isn't being unprofessional. It's just being hype in the moment. You're not going to sit here and convince me that Say-Jam is unprofessional. You're not going to tell me that Yipes is unprofessional. Or, unprofessional in the sense that you want them to be where they're just more rowdy. Yeah, they have energy. They're also some of the best casters of all time, right? You're not going to sit here and convince me that they're better at what they do because they're less professional? Doesn't make sense. Say-Jam's like the poster boy for Chipotle. You want to know how you do that? Being a professional. Being good at your job. Ugh.
Already within the Brawlhalla community who will bring their genuine love for the game, and BMG also needs to stop trying to become so professional and uptight. If they were to do this,
it's just not
I
true.
believe that Brawlhalla's casting problem would finally be fixed.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm not going to name names. I've casted with some people in Brawlhalla who are not part of the core Brawlhalla group. And I'm not saying they're a bad caster, but they would not be hired for a top-level stream. And it's not to say they can't get there. It's not to say that they're not good enough. Well, they technically aren't good enough. But that's not a bad thing. You can still grow and you can still improve. If you show me some casters in Brawlhalla who are legitimately really good, right? Why are they not making the effort to reach out to someone in the Blue Mammoth scene and be like, hey, I cast this. Here's my reel. I'd love to be picked up. This, that, and another. They don't reach out to anybody as far as I'm concerned. If they have, then I don't know. Maybe their reel just wasn't good enough, right? And that's the thing, though, is they can be a good caster, but they're not good enough for the top level. But if you're friends with that person, you're going to think they are good enough. That's just what it comes down to. Bias plays such a huge role in how good or bad you think something is.
So,
Pag's in the chat, I'm pretty sure. Pag's here somewhere, right? Unless they left. Pag thinks the New York Knicks are incredible. It's because Pag loves the New York Knicks.
If there are any casters you'd like to see in an official Brawlhalla stream, or maybe one that's already part of the official streams but you wish they'd be on more often, make sure to share them in the comments section down below. I'm well aware that this is likely to be my most controversial video to date, so if you completely disagree with everything I just said and hate my guts, then please tell me why in the comments below.
No!
It totally does not help my video and the algorithm. Oh, and most importantly of all, I'm starting a petition to bring Photo—
This is not going to do anything. Photo can come back and cast whenever he wants. He's probably just been busy on the weekends. He's the lead game dev. He's just trying to vibe, dude. He actually does pop in every once in a while when we need him, right? This isn't going to do anything.
Back as a regular to the casting desk. please sign it. We desperately need Foda back on the casting team. And if you're watching Foda, we're begging you to come back. Please come back. Please come back.
So here's the thing, is I don't think Foda gets paid for casting. I don't think Duke gets paid for casting. I don't think Taza gets paid for casting because like they're part of the team, right? Now they cast because they love the game, right? They love being part of the community, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me if they don't get paid. I think they don't. How many signatures has it? Let's see what it's at. 70 signatures. Yeah, that's kind of nice, right? But this isn't going to do anything. The whole video doesn't do anything. It actually creates a bigger fraction as a whole and does not actually address the problem. Because the way you think to address the problem is to kick out the casters you don't like. It doesn't do anything, man. It doesn't do anything at all. What you should be trying to do is like, hey, caster who I don't think is that great. I think you need to work on X, Y, Z, right? But the problem is that a lot of people on Twitter and in Twitch chat, they don't have that filter because they're behind a screen, right? Literally okay, so BCX is what? November 13th, it's like next month, in a month. I encourage everybody who does not like my casting, come talk to me. Tell me what the issue is. Tell me what I need to do better. I'll listen to you, right? I've got no problem. My ego is not that big. It's big, but not that big in that sense where like I'm going to brush people off, right? One guy, I remember one guy on Twitter, he made this whole tweet just straight up hate. Oh, you don't do this, you're ass, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh man, I'm sorry, do you have some examples that you could show so I could try to do a little bit better? The next tweet he comes out, and I completely disarmed him. It was nothing but nice things. Well, not nice things. It was just, yeah, man, you just gotta make sure you do this, you do this, you do this. Completely disarmed his attitude, right? That's literally all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, man, whatever, X, Y, Z. Tell me what you would like to see more, blah, blah, this, that, and another. Try talking to casters, man. Too many people here, they see someone cast bad at a game they like, and like they're a villain. They think that they're like the worst person of all time. That it's bad. It's like and then they treat them like they're an absolute piece of shit. It's commentary. Way too many of you. Right? And I'm telling you, this is a vocal minority. This is a crazy vocal minority. It's very loud. You guys care way too much. And it's not even just here. I didn't do anything. That's the problem, Easy Freezy. I didn't do anything. I was not mentioned in this video at all. That's my first problem. I'm about to create an issue. But like I wasn't even referenced as a good caster or a bad caster. I just was not mentioned. That's insane. That pisses me off. I'm telling you, I'm gonna fart on the mic at BCX nonstop reverberated farts to the whole venue. Everybody's gonna hear that shit. But anyway, what was the point I was just making? Oh yeah, you people. I'm saying you people as in the vocal minority I'm talking to that thinks the Brawlhalla casting is absolute garbage nowadays. Is it perfect? No, it's never gonna be perfect. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. I still go back to play goddamn Super Mario Sunshine sometimes, and that's a beautiful game. It has issues, right? Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right? It's crazy. Like, you're gonna look at a time when you were younger and things just weren't as bad or as bleak. Because now you have a bigger understanding of today's world, and you're gonna think, wow, that was such a better time. Everything there's better. But now I'm older, and I feel like I understand things more. I hate this person. Excuse me. But anyway, you guys care about commentary way too much. It's not even just here. Smash Bros does the same thing. Street Fighter does the same thing. I'm sure League and like Call of Duty, they all do the same thing. This caster's XYZ, blah, blah, blah. This host sucks, blah, blah, blah. Actually, literally, watching Counter-Strike the other day, I had someone mention to me that the host they had at the Counter-Strike in DreamHack Atlanta, they didn't like them. They thought they sucked. I'm listening to them, I'm like, they're really not that bad. Like, maybe they're not as good as this other caster or this other host who the person clearly liked, right? But, like, it doesn't mean they suck, right? Bias, the entire video is built on bias, and I feel like it's built on a bad Fortnite. Yeah, I'm sure there's Fortnite casters who are terrible, right? But anyway, I feel like this video, you had good intentions, and you want to address something that's important to you. That's completely fine. I respect that. But I feel like the foundation's not good, right? And I feel like there's way too much bias going into this. And it's just, it creates a video that's just falls apart really, really hard. And that's why you got the conversation that you just had with TK earlier. A lot of the stuff in here, you actually kind of pushed as though it was fact, even though you probably didn't mean to. But the way it comes off is, it's like this, right? And it's not. It's not like that. There's definitely a couple things you're like, I think it's because of this, and that's fine. You could say I think, but you know what could have happened? You could have literally messaged someone and said, hey, is this the way it is because XYZ? And someone could probably tell you no or yes, and that would have solved half the problem you have in this video. Again, one of the biggest issues is you treating TK like he's some import caster when he's been here longer than the majority of us, and that just sets up the rest of the video for just high criticism and among other things. Now, like I said, I think you had good intentions with this video. I think there are people who need to be learning the game more. I'm one of them. I think there are moments where people could be a lot more hyped. Like at Trial of Freya, that is definitely a moment where we should have been more involved. And, you know, there's a couple other points that aren't coming to my mind right now, but I know they were good points. I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. I completely understand this. But you can tell when you start getting the more opinionated parts, and it sucks. I'm gonna be real. Like, I think some of your more opinionated parts are just terrible opinions. Now, that's an opinion. That's just how I feel, right? You can feel that way. I can feel this way. But again, a lot of this goes down like you can literally just talk to people. Ask questions, man. A lot of us are so willing to chat. And granted, yeah, you could show up and be like, hey, I think you need to be a better caster. You're going to catch some of us off guard, but have a reason to say, this is why I think you should be a better caster, because X, Y, Z. I don't think you're doing this as well. I don't think you're this as well. I would like to see you do this more, right? You're probably going to catch somebody off guard. Someone might get a little moody about it, but, like, it's better than just going on Twitter or Twitch chat and complaining or making a 30-minute video, 28-minute, excuse me, about the state of Brawlhalla casting and how it's a nightmare. It's not a nightmare, right? Where the thumbnail, it's like he cares, but he got the wrong idea. Yeah, it's really bad execution, I think. But like you're saying like the casting's become a nightmare. It's not. You care too much, right? And there's nothing wrong with saying you care too much, but you care too much to the point where it's like a problem because you think that other people are actively ruining something for you, and they're not. You care too much. If you don't like someone casting, mute the stream. And then I know people are like, well, I just want to be able to hear the game sounds. And it's like you mentioned in this video, life's not fair sometimes. You can't always get what you want, right? But it is what it is. Anyway, so that was the video. I do appreciate TrippedUp for, you know, putting his opinions out there, because making long form content is not easy, and putting an opinion out like this where it can be scrutinized by so many people is it's easy to just put it out there, but then dealing with all like the repercussions afterwards can be a bit of an issue. I hope to see you at BCX. If you're not at BCX, oh my god, you're not passionate about the game. You better be at BCX. That's all I'm saying. He's just tripped up, or is he? But again, I don't think you're a bad person. I'm going to guess that you're younger, right? You're still learning a lot about life, and you have passion about something, which is great. You just need to find a way to focus that passion to delivering like the opinions that you have in a better way that, one, doesn't seem like an attack, and two, is just blatantly wrong, right? And again, it's stuff that like, it's not like it's blatantly wrong because like you're just saying the absolute wrong thing because you know better. It's you just don't know, right? Ask questions, man. That's all I'm gonna say. But that's all. Hey, thanks guys for tuning in. I know I wasn't a math teacher before, so maybe I have a different perspective of how to make people excited about things. Oh, dude, I thought this was a bot for a second. Dude, being a math teacher, that is, if you know how to make people excited about things, you're a different breed. But I would not compare it to casting. That's an entirely different field. But man, getting kids to be excited about math, oh boy, man, that is a tough one. I really got to hand it to you because I hated math when I was a kid. So yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope my opinions, I know I rambled a lot, but I'm passionate about casting, and they were undergrads. Still, man, that's still a tough one, man. People hate math. And if they like math, like, I don't know, they're different. But anyway, I know my opinions are opinions, right? Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to message me at any time, right? Like, if you guys just have questions, the man, he messaged me, and, like, that's the reason why I'm doing this video, right? Because I was curious about that, right? I care about casting. I care about my friends. I know people who cast, and they just catch way too much shit literally by just existing. And I'm not saying everybody who hates Dara is a transphobe, but there's definitely a lot of people there. And the fact that Dara is still in the community after all that it's been through is a miracle, right? Treat people with respect. If somebody says something that you don't like, try to ignore it, right? You'll be so much happier in life. And believe me, it took me a long time to figure that out, but I'm trying to get there. But you guys have a great Saturday night. I'm going to go play some games, eat some food or something. But you guys take it easy. Love you.